Well, we are going to get this thing started. Good afternoon to my brothers and sisters here in the United States. Maraho, hello. Good evening to my family and friends in Rwanda. It is my distinct pleasure that I have today of being able to interview my good friend and founder of African New Life Ministries, Dr. Charles Mugisha. But before I bring him on, I want to take a moment to share some thoughts with you guys. Here in America, we have been awakened to some truths that have been locked away and ignored for a very long time. Many of us are looking for solutions to unifying our country, but that unity will not occur until we can come to grips and acknowledge the horrors of our past history. Until we can become empathetic to those who have been and are currently being oppressed, unity can't occur until we actively seek relationships with those who don't look like or think like ourselves. The Word of God says in the first commandment that we should love the Lord our God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, and with all of our mind. The second commandment says that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. One great example I've been able to find of this second commandment of loving your neighbor has been spending time with the Rwandan people through the ministry of Africa New Life. Africa New Life is a ministry that is deeply invested in reconciliation and hope. And with all of the major issues that we've been experiencing in our world today, from racial tension to COVID-19 to poverty, Lord knows we could all use some hope right now. This ministry is Rwandan founded and Rwandan led, which means the work taking place in Rwandan communities is being done by local leaders who are aware of the local needs. And because they are local leaders, they are able to be present when those needs need to be met. When my wife and I first got involved with Africa New Life, we started off slow. As many of you know, when you start off with new organizations, you want to make sure that they are doing everything that they say they are going to do. And we started off with specific projects to make sure that the money invested was going towards the completion of those projects. But as we became more comfortable with Africa New Life, we started to give to their general fund, which could be used to go to their direct needs that they had and the direct ministry needs that they had. It would go directly to those things and it wouldn't have to be too much of a process. So the impact fund is something that was something as we became more comfortable, we started giving to. And it's really quite amazing to see kind of where God has brought us from the first time we got involved with Africa New Life to where we are now. We started off with one sponsored child almost 6 years ago. Since that time, we have now sponsored 8 children. We have helped in multiple programs. We have helped raise funds. We did fundraising for the Dream Medical Center, which is now the second largest private hospital in the whole country of Rwanda. Amazing things. Last summer, we had the opportunity to lead a mission group of 24 people from our local church here in Delaware to the beautiful country of Rwanda. And most recently, I was able to accept a board position with Africa New Life. So when I say that we are committed, we are committed. So without further delay, I want to be able to take this time to reach out to Pastor Charles. Pastor Charles, if you are there, it's time for you to hop on so we can interview you, sir.
Okay.
All right, I hear you clearly.
Okay, I hear you too. That's good.
Oh man. Oh, technology.
Yeah.
Okay, we're starting to get everyone to get back on again.
Sure.
Let's give everybody just a quick moment. Everyone's saying it sounds great. Everyone's jumping
Good.
back on. Sorry about that. Okay.
You know, I see that happening all the time with Facebook and people help you out. So that helps.
It's always great when you have some tech people in the audience who's able to help out. So, and once again, the grace as well. Thank you for everyone who's watching, who's given us a little bit of grace in the midst of all of this, because I know you guys are interested in the conversation that's to be had.
Yep.
So I guess we're gonna keep it rolling then, Pastor Charles. I know the first question may have been a hard one, but maybe you'll be able to help us out with this next one concerning the coronavirus. For nearly,
I want to speak into the first question.
Okay.
Like you said, when you have something, sometimes you don't understand it. But this is what I found out. Every time I leave Rwanda and maybe go to the US or go to Europe or go to another country and come back home, I appreciate it much better because I realize the peace in this place. And the truth is that this country in 1994 was the worst place on planet Earth. It went so much deep into trouble that the only way is that we had to come out. And I really believe for many years now, Rwandan people and the Rwandan church has been praying for peace in this country. If there is a prayer Rwandans make to God on a daily basis, is a prayer for peace and prayer for security. Those are really important because for the Rwandans, peace means being comfortable with those who are around you. And with the tensions we've had here for years, we need that peace with our neighbors, with people who are different from us. Peace for Rwandan people means no one is attacking me. Man, we were attacked for many years till 1 million people were killed in 90 days. So peace, if you ask my mother, what is democracy? For my mom, democracy will be a definition of peace. If she has peace, that's democracy for her. But also for us, peace means that all people are equal. Leaders, villagers, community people, rich people, poor people, there is a respect for everybody. And I think with that respect for everybody, even from the government, provides that level of peace. And as a Christian, I accredit the peace in Rwanda to the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ, which is giving us only by his grace, because he knows what we've gone through and how much we need that peace. But also you have to understand that here in Rwanda, the whole idea of unity and reconciliation, those are two important pillars for our country. And as we pursue unity and pursue reconciliation, they result into being peaceful with one another in spite of the terrible background we have here.
Yeah, and
I hope that explains.
Absolutely. I think when we speak about the peace that passes all understanding, it's a verse that many of us may know, but it's quite another thing to actually apply that in our lives with everything that the Rwandan people have been through and the things that we've seen in Rwanda. It's quite amazing to see how you guys have continued to be so resilient and persevered through that to be an example to the rest of the world. For nearly 20 years, Africa New Life has been a part of transformation and transforming lives and communities throughout Rwanda. They've provided short-term relief during refugee crises and in the current COVID-19 aftermath, while working on finding long-term solutions to poverty and community needs. According to the numbers, Rwanda has done really well in being able to contain the spreading of COVID-19. But we also know that it's brought some other challenges that you guys have had to deal with, like hunger and deeper levels of poverty. Can you share a little bit more on those challenges that you guys are dealing with?
In Rwanda, people get paid daily. If you don't go to work, you won't get food. And what is happening since mid-March, people lost jobs. And the jobs were lost instantly. Also remember, there are no stimulus packages here and no welfare in Rwanda. Everyone has to find his own way to survive. The truth is that thousands and thousands of families are already suffering. Two important things here in Rwanda for now. It's food and it's medical care. And you can imagine as we speak, many families that don't even have money to pay for their annual insurance. We call it mituweli here. It's a small insurance everyone has every year, and the people are not able to pay for their insurances. Now you wonder, how are they going to take care of their medical needs? People are not able to feed their families. Thank God for those in the circles of African New Life, because we've been feeding thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Thank God for all of you who support African New Life. I want to thank you so much for sending so much food that we become a food line, not only for our community of African New Life, but even for the rest of the nation of Rwanda. We are delivering food. This past week, we've just delivered food to an entire slum, which right now, as I speak, that slum is locked down. People can't get out for 15 days because they found some people that have COVID-19 in that slum. Right there in that slum, African New Life Ministries is providing food. And you realize that this is God's provision, because we provided the food to that slum one day before the slum of that community got a lockdown. So it's hard over here. Tourism has been hit. Our hotels are still closed. It's affecting people economically, emotionally. We are going through a process of waiting. But waiting is very hard when you don't have food. When you have food and you have a shelter over your roof and you have a health insurance, you can keep waiting. But waiting has been very hard for us here, and we are still waiting. We don't know when we shall get out.
Yeah, those are all, once again, great things to see what African New Life is doing to be able to support their communities. And another thing that's so important about African New Life, as we talk about, why African New Life exists, is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, but also with acts of compassion. And we've seen very oftentimes that as excited as we are and passionate as we are to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, if people don't have their basic needs, like food, that's something that they're not concerned about. That's not something they want to talk about. They need to be able to see those acts of compassion. And when they see those acts of compassion, their hearts are softened and they're able to now receive the things that God will have for them through those things. So that is something that's very important. I want to move.
Yes,
Yeah.
Andrea. And people want to see the hand of God in the middle of this pandemic. And the way they see the hand of God is when someone comes through, when a Christian comes through and provides for their need. It helps to deal with the number of questions that are going on in our minds. Why are we going through this? But as we go through it, then you see the providence of God in the middle of it. And it brings some level of hope. That's why I believe right now, African New Life Ministries in Rwanda is deeply in the business of bringing hope to the people. And possibly through this hope, they can see the love of Jesus through a church ministry.
No, that's an amazing thing. Once again, being the hands and feet of Christ as you go through the communities, as you go through the country, and showing that even in the midst of this, that that we can be a light in the midst of the darkness that is going on. Another thing that I've really seen as we've been going forward, and you've talked about the hope, but it's also the forgiveness. that you, as African New Life and as Rwandans, have really been able to be a great model of what I've seen. And I think when we talk about forgiveness, it's a very difficult process to comprehend. I think it's much easier to talk about than it is to actually do. And for me, the more I've been educated on the history of Black people in America, as well as the current systemic racism that is taking place, for me personally, it's been, forgiveness has been something very hard to come by. As we are coming up on the 26th anniversary of the genocide in Rwanda, what steps have you all taken as a ministry and as a country in trying to reach the goal of forgiveness?
Forgiveness is a journey, and it's a very personal journey. And personally, as a leader of African New Life Ministries, I decided from day one that I was gonna seek forgiveness and reconciliation with people possibly who had been the cause of my trouble for my entire life. My family left Rwanda from 1959 till 1994. My family were refugees. As soon as I stepped on this soil, because of a faith I had in Jesus Christ, I will say I received the grace. Like Paul says, I received the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ to do this and the other. I received the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ to forgive and to be very practical in my forgiveness. I remember as a ministry that sponsors children, some of the first children we sponsored were from families whose families had killed the people on the village where my father lived. And then the other group of the children were refugees who had just returned into their home country, and on their arrival found out their families had been killed. And we decided from day one that we're going to take care of all the children, because the children were not part of the story of the genocide. They killed nobody. And I really believe that was a beginning point for African New Life Ministries to demonstrate forgiveness and reconciliation. And that has permeated through our entire staff and our communities. But we've also have come to learn, after many years of being refugees and recycling hate for many years, that not forgiving is very costly. It's very costly not to forgive, because it leads to a cycle of revenge and rehearsal of pain. Cycle of revenge and rehearsal of pain. And as you do that, you never get out. Now, I want to thank God for our kind of leadership here. You know, everything rises and falls on leadership. That's what Maxwell says. God has provided leadership in Rwanda, which is very redemptive. Our president has been very redemptive. I mean, he has forgiven people who committed genocide. He has provided ways to actually bring justice into the community and lead them into the community to seek forgiveness from the families they killed, and somehow create reconciliation, which is allowing us to stay together. So good leadership has helped that. Church leaders have preached reconciliation and forgiveness. So when you come to Rwanda, the whole idea of unity and reconciliation, there are two major pillars on which we build this nation. The good thing is that Rwandans have been very open to obeying the laws of the land. And we thank God for what we have today.
That is so true. And what I love about Rwanda, for our audience out there, I've been there now 4 times and enjoy it every single time I come back, and look forward to bring more and more people over there to experience what the country of Rwanda is about, but then also all of the things that Africa New Life is doing on the ground there. Is You know, you talked about forgiveness and reconciliation, and you see that from the country. And I think that's the thing that always catches me off guard when I'm there, is that to see that just 26 years ago, there was a genocide where neighbors and family members were killing one another. Just such an evil thing that was going on. But then when you touch down and you walk around the streets, it's almost like you can't fathom those two things together. And to hear you explain that, you know, once again, from leadership, from top down, the things that are almost required, I guess, of the Rwandans, the reconciliation, the unity that's involved, is something that is absolutely amazing, and something that I think I've always been intrigued by. So as we talk about unity, that's a very important matter when it comes to accomplishing big goals. And I think Rwanda is like one of the fastest growing economies in our world today because of the unity that is taking place there on the ground. There are two terms that Rwandans use very often that as I continue to try and pick up on my Kinyarwandan language and different terms, I've always liked these two terms. One of them is umuganda, and the other one is Ubuntu. Could you please explain to our audience what umuganda means and then Ubuntu?
And Andre, today I'll also teach you another one to add on your vocabulary. It's agakiro.
Agakiro.
Yes. Ubuntu means to be human, to be understanding, to have a quality that includes the essential human virtues, like a compassion, like a humility. It's the whole idea of not revenging or victimization of another person. Jira ubuntu. Be human, be normal, don't be crazy. Understand the value of another person. And as Christians would say, we were created in the image of God. So there is an imago Dei in every human being. So be godly, be human, don't be a beast. Because the whole idea of turning against another person, like what happened in this country, it was not of human. It was not ubuntu. And then number two, we have agachiro. And the agachiro means to give yourself dignity, to give yourself value. Because if you don't give yourself value, no one is going to give you value. So when you come to Rwanda, every Rwandan is valuable and he has value. And whoever looks at you, he looks at you with value. Government leaders look at you with someone who has value. Church leaders look at you as someone who has value. Policemen look at you as someone who has value because you've given yourself agachiro, dignity. And then number three is umuganda. And umuganda refers to communal support, that we actually come together and help each other. For many, many years, Rwandans would gather together and build a house for one family, or help out an elderly woman and put up some shelter for them or grow food for them. We call that umuganda, or where people in a community come to work together for the common good. Nowadays, what we do as part of umuganda is to actually clean up our communities or do something for the vulnerable people in the community, or clean up our roads, clean up our sewers, do something that is for the common good, not just for the good of your house. That's why most of your umuganda has to be out of your house to others who badly need that communal support. And then at the end of the day, we all gather together and have a conversation about our community. How do we guard our community? How do we guard the peace we have? How do we guard the unity we have? How do we guard the reconciliation we have? What voices in the community that are actually against the pillars of our nation, which is unity and reconciliation, and how can we fix that? So that is our Umuganda. Next time you come to Rwanda, I invite you to join us on Umuganda. It's the last Saturday of every month.
Oh, the last Saturday of every month, once a month throughout the whole year.
Yes. Yes. No, throughout once a month throughout the whole year. Yes. 12 times a year.
Wow. And it's the country from top down,
Now,
from the president to the to children, everyone is involved.
from the president to professors, to business people, to drivers, to members of parliament, to senators. Actually, they have to be the example, the number one in executing that Muganda. Even judges and lawyers, everyone, it's a communal thing. You do it within your community, therefore you have no reason not to get out.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I know another term that I learned there was I am because we are. And that is just, once again, a beautiful thing that not just as individuals, but as a country, you guys are unified together and understand the vision and mission on how to move forward, how to ensure that the horrors of their past won't happen again, and to actively do things with community, in closeness with one another, in relationships and in relation, to be able to ensure that things like that don't happen again. Once again, I will always look at Rwanda as an example to follow. I am so grateful for the ability to be able to partner with you, Pastor Charles, with the staff of Africa New Life. I thank you so much for your time with us today. And we just look forward to hearing from you again and continue to seeing all of the great work that you've done and continue to do in Rwanda.
Well, thank you for spending time with me today and giving me the opportunity to speak to all of my friends in the US. I know these are hard times. We haven't been able to visit each other. Many people, about 500 people visit Rwanda every year. I think you were the last team to come out of Rwanda, to come into Rwanda and come out of Rwanda. No one else after you has visited. I haven't been able to come back to America. Thank God for the technology, and thank you for your time for allowing me to have a conversation and speak out to all of my friends in America. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Charles.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to close up. As Pastor Charles said, my wife, Janelle, myself, and our pastor, Pastor Chris Rue of our church here, Word of Life Christian Center in Delaware, we were in Rwanda the week that they started closing everything down. And so we had to find a way to get from Rwanda back home. I think we left on a Monday, and that Friday is when they shut down the whole country. So we really were probably the last group of people that were there from the States. But as we've let Pastor Charles go, I thank everyone for being a part of this call. And in order for Africa New Life to continue to have this impact in Rwanda, we are asking you guys, our audience, if you feel led to be able to partner with us. For this work to continue, we need to come alongside them and help strengthen hope and strengthen Rwanda with gifts to the Impact Fund. Their Impact Fund is pretty much the general fund, and it allows them to put that money towards the most urgent and important issues that are across the ministry, and it allows them to continue to do work despite the economic issues that we are having across Rwanda and in the US. I want to thank you guys all for joining us. I know if you guys have a chance to check out the website, there is so much great information on the website. That is africanewlife.org. If you want to give, if you feel led to give, africanewlife.org impact. These are all great things you can see there in the context. Thank you, Betty, for putting that up there. Just once again, I just thank you guys for your time. I thank you for any financial gifts that you may give. I thank you for your prayers for the country of Rwanda, for us here in America, for the things that we have going on, that we would be able to be the light in the midst of darkness, that we would be able to transform lives, and we be the example. We don't have to wait for somebody else to be the example. We can do that. So thank you guys as we continue to transform lives and communities, no matter what the future holds. So join us as we strengthen hope, as we strengthen faith, as we strengthen community, as we strengthen education, and as we strengthen Rwanda. Thank you guys. Take care. God bless. And if anyone wants to go to Rwanda, hit me up. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Instagram, anywhere. Anyone wants to come to Rwanda, we will get a trip together. I would love to lead you guys because it would be something, it'll be an experience you will never forget. So thank you all. Take care. God bless. Talk to you later. Bye.